Hey, what's up? I'm Seth, and I'm asking the question, should I let my kids watch Loki, Episode 5? Alright, Loki, Episode 5. I'm going to try really hard not to give any spoilers, but there will be some light spoilers just to get in talking about what I liked for my kids, what I didn't like for my kids. First of all, I'm just going to answer the question, would I share this episode with my kids? The answer is yes, but there are some things that I saw that I want to talk to you about real quick. And then there are some good questions I thought of, but I'll share those with you at the end. Okay, first. What did I like about this episode? Well, this episode starts where the last episode ended off, which was at the end of episode 4, Loki is pruned. Now, if you haven't seen that episode yet, go watch it. That's spoilers, sorry. But yes, Loki is pruned, he's hit with the little baton, he disappears in a blaze of light, and then after the credits, hopefully you stayed for that, he wakes up. And he sees a bunch of other Lokis there staring at him. He's like, what? There's like an old one, a young one, there's a crocodile one, there's one with a hammer. I mean, it's just crazy. There's a lot of Lokis. Okay, so light spoilers. In this episode, we find out that he is woken up in the place where people go where they're pruned. Apparently, they're sent to the end of time, where they can just be taken care of, where they just basically are eliminated by this huge smoke monster that lives at the end of time. And that's what they do. I don't know why it doesn't just vaporize them, it just sends them here instead. Whatever, doesn't matter. But what I liked about this episode was, number one, the new characters. These new Lokis are hilarious, they're a lot of fun, and they're kind of cool to kind of learn their backstories, where they came from, and this new location is also really fun. It's the end of time, and there are a lot of really cool things here, a lot of Easter eggs that you need to look for in this end of time, because apparently this is where everything that the TVA has vaporized goes to. And so there's a lot of crazy cool things. Again, I'm going to try really hard not to give any spoilers, but I did like the teamwork in this episode. So you do see that Loki teams up, and he's able to get some great things done. Gosh, I can't really say much more than that because I don't want to give it away, but I like that about this episode. I like that my kids were able to see this Loki, our Loki basically, teaming up with others and, you know, accomplishing good things. And the last thing I liked about this episode, which is this is not really a spoiler, you saw this at the end of episode 3 and into episode 4, that Loki is starting to have a new purpose. So he had this big glorious purpose back in New York when he wanted to take over the world. He was then brought to the TVA. Things have been changing for him, but now he has a new purpose, and it's in the form of Sylvie. And that's not really a spoiler, because that's kind of my own inference. That's not really stated explicitly, but you do see Loki is changing. And I believe it's because of Sylvie. Okay, what didn't I like about this episode? The first thing was, at about minute 20, you see it coming, a character loses a hand, and it's a little gory. There's a little bit of a blood spurt and everything, and I was just like, oh, wow, okay, interesting. It was surprising. It was actually played for laughs, so I think my older two kids, you know, my 10-year-old, my 12-year-old might think it's kind of funny. They'll be like, haha, that's a little awkward, but okay. I think it might traumatize my younger kids, maybe. And again, that's just for my kids. That's just what I think about my kids. I don't know how your kids would handle it, but just kind of giving the heads up. At about minute 20, there's a scene of gore. So there you go. Another thing I didn't really like that I just kind of had to not worry about is just don't dwell on the logic of this show. I mean, characters are able to find other characters and do other things, and there's not really a lot of sense in how they're able to find each other and do different things. So I know that's really vague, but that's, again, just trying to stay spoiler-free. But, again, you just don't think about it, and it's okay, I guess. That's the thing. The episode is a lot of fun, so I didn't really dwell on it. I wonder if my kids will ask questions, and I'll just be like, you know what, maybe we'll find out, or maybe it doesn't matter. That's just the way it is. And then finally, this is one thing I didn't like. It's just something I kind of thought while watching this episode. There is this big monster that basically vaporizes everybody who comes to the end of time in this world that Loki finds himself in. He could be a little scary, maybe. It's this big smoke monster. Maybe a little scary. Kind of remind me of the monsters in Raya, the Last Dragon. Kind of. Just kind of that purple, smoky whatever, but he's really big. Maybe a little scary, just giving you a heads up for that. Okay, so again, finally, would I share this episode with my kids? Absolutely. My own personal review for this episode is I really enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. I was really hoping some things would happen, and they did. And it was a good payoff. It's the second to last episode in this season, so it's really cool to see these things moving along. This episode is called Journey into Mystery, so it does end on a bit of a cliffhanger, but I didn't really care. I liked just seeing that this episode is moving along and getting us to somewhere big, and I'm expecting that all to be resolved in the next episode. Okay, that's my review. I'd share it with my kids. It was a lot of fun. Here's some questions I would ask. First, I would lean into that thing that I talked about with Loki's purpose changing, and I would ask my kids. I would say, you know, why is Loki acting the way he's acting? What has changed about him, and what do you think his grand purpose is now, or what is his motivation? Kind of get their take on it and see if they're seeing the same things I'm seeing. Next, I would ask, what makes a Loki? So the Lokis themselves talk about what they are, right? Oh, we're always failures, we're always survivors. There's a lot of things that happen. But you do see some things with our Loki and with some of the other Lokis that maybe contradict those things. And so at the end of this episode, I would ask, what really makes a Loki? And then finally, I just asked this question, what Easter eggs did you see in this episode? There's a lot of them. And there's some really big, cool things that you can notice kind of in the background because you're in this world of all these messed up timelines. And a lot of it has come from the things that we have seen in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And it's really fun looking for those things. And I'm curious to see what my kids would see as well and what they would recognize. Okay, that's it. That's kind of my review and my dad thoughts about Loki episode 5. If you like this episode, hit the like button below. Comment if you've already seen it and had some thoughts about Loki episode 5, but try not to spoil too much. And then if you like this type of review, you can check out my other Loki reviews. And if you also want to see more, hit the subscribe button below. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you soon.